All right, you want to check out the Parker and the Man page at yournews.com. Good stuff. I'm telling you, I know I wrote it, but it's good stuff. It begins with a little piece on James Toney. When I was out in Las Vegas, I'm at the Rio, which is just off the Strip. And who do I run into? Chance meeting, but James Lights Out Toney, boxer, guy from Ann Arbor, who back in the day, when he was with Jackie Callan at the Galaxy Gym in Redford, I'm just going to put it mildly, what a nice guy. We had him on our radio show once, the Parker and the Man show, and he hung up the phone on us and said some not nice thing, some F-bomb, if you will, which I won't repeat, I guess. But he has seemingly transformed himself. He's just I was like taken aback. Different James Toney, a kinder, gentler JT. Lights out, has the lights back on, and that's what I wrote about, so check that out at yournews.com. But this was a whole different, maybe 41-year-old James Toney is, mature now, and not that he had to be, he can do whatever he wants, you know. I mean, the edge that he used to give the boxing game, he became a champion with it. So, some guys are just like that. You don't have to be a great guy all the time. Rob and I always say, there's a lot of great guys in the sporting world. We don't have to always acknowledge how great they are. But James Toney certainly has seemingly come with it and is a different guy. So read about that in our little meeting at the Rio. We were hanging for a bit. This is my guy, just hanging with JT and his guys. By the way, one of his bodyguard guys, and he only had 2 guys with him. I used to have a posse of about 10, 12, whatever. One of them is the bodyguard for the Black Eyed Peas, Fergie and will.i.am and whatnot. And he'll be on tour with them. Also, check out in the tweets and feeds section my mistake. I made a mistake. Yes, it happens. I know Jimmy Risk, our guy, likes to say, hey, Wilson, can you write 3,000 words next time? Sometimes I go a bit, because I like bringing out a lot of history to the table and whatnot and stuff I know. It's kind of the reason to write. But I made a mistake, and Paul A., one of our fine readers, who emailed me at tvboy@yournewsdetroit.com, saw that I had said that Scott Goodyear had won the Indy 500 over Al Unser Jr. In fact, he lost that one. He came in second. He had 2 runner-up finishes, in fact, in his Indy 500 racing career. So Scott Goodyear, a good catch by Paul A. Congratulations, Paul. Good stuff. One of these days I'll make up T-shirts to say, you got me or something, or you found my mistake. So it was my mistake. You know who that was? That was the King Bees. An old King Bees tune. Where that came from, I have no idea. Speaking of mistakes, Central Michigan quarterback Dan Lefevre. Here's a little bulletin board stuff for the Chippewas up in Mount Pleasant. There was an article in Sporting News about the top quarterbacks in college football this coming season, and you had the usual suspects with Tim Tebow and Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy. Well, they listed Dan Lefevre as one of the top 13 guys in college football, and they listed him with the Western Michigan University Broncos. Problem is, Dan Lefevre plays for Central. They corrected it. Inside the story, there was another story on him, it was just a little picture, and it said Western Michigan, even though you can see the Chippewas on his uniform. And they corrected it there. It was correctly identified as Central. And the funny part about that is Western has its own fine quarterback in Tim Hiller. So Dan Lefevre, maybe a little bulletin board stuff, no respect. Hey, no respect. So Dan Lefevre, Central Michigan quarterback, Tim Hiller, Western Michigan quarterback. That's for you, Sporting News. Aubrey Huff. Wow, terrible. 0 for 4 with the Tigers. Now, they did win the game over the Angels Tuesday night, but Aubrey Huff has been just awful. By the way, Jared Washburn, good effort against his former team. Huff is now 2 for 24, and you can see all the ways I rhyme Huff. Just have to read that. I won't go into it now, okay, because it's enough to do the stuff with Huff. But he was terrible. I mean, he's been awful. 2 hits and 24 at-bats, 1 RBI. That's it. Since the trade from Baltimore. Zach Greinke's big night for the Kansas City Royals. He did something no Royals pitcher has ever done in the 40-year history of Kansas City Royals baseball. He did it against Cleveland last night. And the passing of Ted Kennedy, it came late. Senator Edward Kennedy died at the age of 77 from the brain cancer. The legacy he leaves with his brothers, the fact that Camelot is over, if you will. 50 years of Kennedy legacy now gone. The famous Chappaquiddick incident probably prevented Ted Kennedy from ever being a real solid presidential candidate, although in 1980, before Jimmy Carter got the nod, there was some consideration, but I still don't think it was serious, because I think Chappaquiddick would have haunted him forever, which it did, and would have prevented any presidential run. So there you go. Check it all out. The piece on James Toney, my correction on Scott Goodyear, thanks to Paul A., who is a loyal reader of yournews.com, Parker and the Man page. The Dan Lefevre thing from Sporting News, Aubrey Huff. Whew, terrible. He's got to turn this around. Zach Greinke's big night, and the passing of Ted Kennedy. Passing of a legend, passing of an era. It's all at yournews.com, Parker on Demand page. Check it out early and often, and happy navigating.